next one up here, let's get into Tesla Dan Ives calls. And by the way, if you are looking to apply for 1000xstocks.com this week, you can go to 1000xstocks.com. We have the search feature, compare feature earnings calls, and then we should hopefully be able to get SEC filings this week as well. Okay, so you can go to that, and then for pinned comment down there, I'll put my Instagram today. If you ever want to say hello to me, you can say hello on Instagram, or if you ever got a question for me, reach out, send me a DM on Instagram.
Managing Director Dan Ives, just like, we talk about these big pay packages, it's like $1 billion, and it really is that. But to the point, if robo-taxi is the next big thing, do you think that this is the man who can lead Tesla to the future? And does robo-taxi, is that the thing that's going to make Tesla regain its $1 trillion market cap?
Musk is Tesla, Tesla is Musk. And I think ultimately, right now, Tesla is the most undervalued AI play in the market. I believe the AI component of Tesla could be worth $1 to $2 trillion alone. And this, in my view, this is really the beginning of what is going to be just a massive stage of growth for Musk and Tesla. August 8th, in my opinion, will be a historical day for Tesla.
Okay, they unveil it August 8th. Any idea when production starts, when we would actually see robo-taxis on the road?
Look, I think over the next 18 months, this is something, we're not talking 3-4 years away. I think this is the start of what's going to be not just robo-taxis, but when you talk about full self-driving and autonomous, Tesla is an autonomous AI company. It does disruptive tech. Yeah. And I think we will be looking at ultimately a stock that could potentially double over the next 12, 18 months.
We have a headline today from CNBC.com.
Well, let's be very clear. How does a Tesla stock double over the next 12 to 18 months? Let me be very clear on what actually needs to happen here. In order for Tesla stock to double over the next 12 to 18 months, they have to get revenues going back up, double digits. They have to get margins going back up in the back half of this year and going into 2025. That will get the stock to double. The excitement around AI and what Tesla can do in robotaxi, that value will not be seen until it really starts to play in the marketplace. Wall Street's not going to bid this company up to $1 trillion+ on the back of that. They will bid this company back up to $1 trillion which is really what you need to move this company. You need Wall Street. Retail's not going to do it. You need Wall Street money. They'll bid it up if they feel confident margins are going to continue to go back up. They're going to get back to where they used to be margin-wise, and they feel like revenues are going to start increasing double digits again. And then everything changes for Tesla, and you're no longer in a, then robo-taxis and all that, they can be talked about, but that's just going to be icing on the cake. That's just going to be a cherries on top, man. That's not going to be what gets us back to $1 trillion. It's revenues going back up. It's deliveries going back up. It's margins going back up. That's how we get back to $1 trillion+.
Kadalodny.
If you're wondering how you get to $5 trillion or $10 trillion, okay, now we need the autonomous taxi network, then we need robots, then we need a lot of other stuff, right? But to get to $1 trillion+, let's be very clear, that's all about autos.
Internal memos, Tesla's workforce has shrunk by 14% since Elon Musk announced layoffs back in April. In December, Tesla employed a little more than 140,000 people worldwide. Today, it's 121,000. What do the layoffs mean to you in terms of resources aimed at growth and cost efficiency?
Yeah, well, they've had to rip the Band-Aid off because we've seen softer demand globally, especially in China. That's the hearts and lungs of the Tesla story. But I think they have been proactive. And even though we're not expecting fireworks for the June quarter, this will pay dividends. It's what Musk and Tesla have needed to do. An adult needed to be in the room, and Musk stepped up. And I believe right now, when we look at the Tesla story, they've gone through some Category 5 hurricane. But I think on the other side of this now is going to be that Cinderella story will return to Tesla, and I think AI is going to be the key.
There was a lot of hype over Cybertruck when the launch happened, when it rolled out off of the production.
AI is not the key to the next bullish cycle. That's where Dan Ives and I just completely disagree. AI is the So we get the next bullish cycle is all about margins going back up and revenue going back up. And that hopefully starts to play out in the back half of this year. That's what the next bullish cycle is about, okay? Then eventually we'll have another downward move for Tesla after that bullish cycle. And then if we want to talk about what the next bullish move is, then that is robo-taxi move. That's more of an AI overall move and things like that, because that's when you can begin to actually see revenue start to come in, the business actually start to build, and real numbers start to hit. So the next move for Tesla has nothing to do with AI or anything like that. That could maybe move the stock, like let's say after the robo-taxi day, the stock moves 5-10%. That's little money. If you're talking about big money where the next double up for the stock, nothing to do with AI. That will be the next bullish cycle. You got to understand that.
Or do you think expectations and the hype around Tesla itself make the rollout of robo-taxi problematic?
I think you're going to have a brighter spotlight like we see with Musk and Tesla. But from a core technology perspective, I believe this is really going to be the start of what's going to be a renaissance of growth for Tesla, not just on autonomous, but even on a demand perspective.
Meanwhile, you've got like Ferrari moving into the EV space. The company's offering a posh new electric vehicle sports car that comes at a price tag of, I'm going to choke on this too, $500,000, set to be released next year. CNBC's Robert Frank sat down with Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna and says, well, here's what he said about the car and the demand for EVs.
I thought I butcher names sometimes.
The final judge will be the client, but I can tell you that more people start to...
Hey, this Benedetto Vigna, come on, man.
To try our electric Ferrari, and they have a good feeling. I believe that in the future, we will have clients that today are buying our cars, that they will switch to electric.
Will they?
I think they will. And I think this does, when you have a brand like Ferrari making a bet like this, it shows where the world's heading. And I think they're hedging their bent. In my opinion, Ferrari, it's the gold standard. And this is an important, something that a few years ago, never thought that you'd see this headline.
Okay. I really have nothing to add to that. That's just interesting more than anything. Hey, I want to thank you for watching this video here today on the Clips channel. I want to introduce you to 1000xstocks.com. This is the most valuable service you're going to find out there. If you're an investor in the market, this is a tool that's going to help you immensely get to the next level in the market. So when you're looking at 1000xstocks.com, you're able to understand all the different metrics laid out exactly how you need them as a long-term investor in the market. So let's say I wanted to look at a stock like Palantir. I can go ahead and type in Palantir right here, and it's going to say all Palantir's different metrics right here. Let's say I want to go ahead and look at a stock like Tesla. I can go ahead and type in Tesla right here, search, it's going to give me all Tesla's metrics right there. Let's say I want to look at a stock like PayPal. Go ahead, search it up, and then it's going to give me all PayPal's numbers laid out right there. Compare feature is one of the most valuable features of any service literally in the world. And the reason being is you're able to compare 3 different stocks all next to each other in a matter of seconds. It's absolutely, there's no service you're going to be able to find something like this. So let's say I wanted to find out, what do I think is a better buy? Do I think it's Meta? Do I think it's Google? Or do I think it's, let's say, a stock like Microsoft, for instance, right? So I can go ahead, type all those in there, and then hit compare, and boom, in a matter of, what was that, a second or two, it gave me all the metrics out. So now I can say, okay, Meta's forward P is trading at this, Google's forward P is trading at this, Microsoft's trading at this, and I can go ahead and understand this on a very high level. Additionally, we have earnings calls on here as well. So if I need to listen to any companies I own or am researching their conference calls, I can do it right here through the service. So let's say Tesla, if I want to pull up Tesla's latest conference call, boom, I can play it. I can adjust the speed as well. So if I want to listen to it at 2x speed, I can listen to it at 2x speed, 1.5x. I also have the transcripts of the conference calls as well right here. We're also working on a lot of different new features behind the scenes. So if you would like to apply for access of 1000xstocks.com, go to 1000xstocks.com and you'll be able to fill out an application and go from there. Don't bet against Elon Musk, Dan Ives' $1 trillion call.
Director and senior equity analyst joins us now. We might have even had a typo in there. I think you think that this could go even higher here. So ultimately, Dan, let's break that down here. What is your vision for how they can get to your market cap that you're anticipating by 2025?
Yeah, I mean, first off, Brett, this puts that Delaware twilight zone in the rearview mirror. I mean, now with the comp package, I think that was a $20, $25 overhang on the stock and now moving to Texas. But when you look at the Tesla story, autonomous FSD, I could argue it's one of the best AI plays in the market when you look out the next 2, 3, 4 years. This is just the start of the next chapter, the next book, as Musk calls it, in the Tesla growth story. I think it's one of the best disruptive names in the world.
Right, Dan. So put some of these lofty expectations then, I think, into a more realistic picture for us. You're very confident that you're going to see, or that we could see maybe Tesla reach that $1 trillion in value here in 2025. Talk to us about what the catalysts are for that growth, at least in the short term, and then compare that maybe to the longer term picture and some of these longer term believers when it comes to Tesla.
Yeah, so let's walk through the setup. Look, New York City cab driver is expecting a bad June quarter. So no one's expecting great things for June.
That's true.
But I think that's the last tough quarter, tough comp, as then we turn the corner, demand stabilizing in China. And then August 8th, I think, is going to be a historical day. Robotaxis, autonomy, that's kind of the vision. I mean, no different than what we saw from Apple this week in terms of Cupertino and AI. That would be them unveiling the broader strategy. And then I think you start to then see the execution of the strategy along with the sub 30K vehicle. We think, I'll call it a Model 2.5, gets released early next year. In our opinion, the bottom's in Tesla. Bears go into hibernation mode. And I think those thinking that that comp package was going to get voted down had a little too much champagne.
Is Elon Musk too optimistic with his $25 trillion target that he thinks the company can get towards? And what type of company are we talking about?
See, and that's where you got to differentiate between what's going on this year for Tesla versus what's going on next year and then in future years, right? Because you look at Tesla and obviously the numbers are ugly this year. Current year expected earnings per share growth down epically, but then it's supposed to be up epically next year, right? Revenue this year, we can call it flattish, maybe slight growth. But then next year, possibly like 20%-ish growth, right? So you have to differentiate between what's going on this year versus what's going on what's likely to happen next year and in future years, obviously, for Tesla.
At that point, is it an automotive company? Is it a technology company? Is it an energy company?
It's all.
Well, look, we've always talked about in the show, this is a disruptive technology company. And I think that's where, look, the bears will say it's a car company. They've said it from, 100 million up to $1 trillion. So the point is, this is disruptive tech.
Fair.
And now, when you look at autonomy,
like $1 billion
software,
to $1 trillion.
FSD, that's the vision. But also, this is one that you're going to see 3-4 million vehicles per year when you look out 4 or 5 years from now. And again, betting against Musk, it's been the wrong move. And I think this has clearly been a turbulent period. But I could see that Cinderella story starting again as we go into 2025.
All right, Dan, when we talk about a little bit of a longer term trajectory here for Tesla, we heard lots of talk about Optimus, the robot, and exactly what maybe Elon Musk thinks it's going to do to Tesla's valuation. He was talking about $25 trillion here in valuation. How are you looking at the robot from an analyst perspective and ultimately what that's going to do to Tesla's bottom line?
Yeah, I view it as optionality. Again, in terms of from a valuation perspective, none of that's being valued into the stock. Now, looking out, it's really more about the AI components of it. And we've talked about, I think 3-5 years from now, you will see more and more, we'll call it robotics within consumer households. Well, that's going to be AI driven. And I think that's something that it all goes into this AI revolution. It's not just about Musk and Optimus. It's about the chips from the godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA. You're seeing a fourth industrial revolution play out here. Tesla is going to be a main player in that. And I get it. Investors still view it as a car company. But this is just the early stages of broader where Musk is going to be taking Tesla.
I don't know if investors really view it just as a car company. I think that might be Wall Street in general, viewing it from that lens and from that perspective, just to be fair.
How soon do you think Tesla needs to uncloak what a new vehicle model would look like in order to maintain some of the demand generation that we're seeing, or at least in this demand generation cycle, maintain consumer mind share?
I'd say by March or April 2025. I mean, so this is something I see coming out before the Masters next year, where they could ultimately come out with a strategy, lay it out for a second half delivery, sub 30K. And I think that starts the next phase of the Tesla growth story. And I think
that's honestly robotaxi. I think that's what that is. I think that is that next generation under 30K vehicle, 25K price point, maybe under 20K. I don't know if I want to go that far, but something pretty shocking.
So, we look what happened with Apple this week. Betting against these disruptive technology companies with massive install base, it's just been, I think it's the wrong move in what we view as a 1995 moment.
Dan, just circling back to where we started the conversation, when it comes to this vote, some of the concerns surrounding Elon Musk over the last couple of years has been that he's been distracted. He has too much going on. When it comes to some of his other companies, and Tesla really requires someone at the helm who's putting all of their focus on Tesla. Are at least some of those concerns valid in your view? And which ones?
Look, Musk is Tesla, Tesla is Musk. And obviously, I'd say most followed human on the world in many ways. A lot of balancing act. Now, I do think there was a phase that he went through where wasn't maybe the pilot on the plane. We talk about the adult in the room. But you're seeing old school Musk return now. And I do think this has reinvigorated him in terms of the vote, the confidence. But you're right. I mean, Tesla's the golden child. They need Musk, but Musk needs Tesla. And I think that continues to really be the focus, especially with AI, I believe, being under the hood of Tesla, as the next stage is getting Musk to 25% voting rate.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, whenever things are tougher, people point out things like, maybe he's not spending enough time, but as soon as numbers get going back in the right direction, margins and revenue, all of a sudden, that doesn't become the focus anymore, okay? All right, guys, appreciate you joining me as always. If you're looking to apply for access to 1000xstocks.com, you can go to 1000xstocks.com and apply there. If you're looking to follow me on Instagram, send me a DM if you ever got questions, things like that. Always feel free. That will be the pinned comment down there to follow me on there. Much love and have a great day.